Hello, hello, and welcome to this intro to tapping video. I'm Lizzie Gobst. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I work mostly with couples and relationship issues, but also with career transitions and people who are trying to live creatively and authentically in a world that doesn't always encourage that. I also love to train therapists and miscellaneous entrepreneurs, especially on this tool and using tapping to manage countertransference or fear about taking business risks or even things in our personal life so that we can show up with embodied, loving leadership and really help the people that we're trying to serve. So today I'm just going to show you the basics of this tool that I have been using, for years. And it's a stress reduction technique. So essentially, we're using our fingers to stimulate acupressure points that align with our vascular system. And that is going to reduce stress alone. But we're not doing it alone. While we're tapping on ourselves, we're also saying phrases that are associated with the problem that we're having and the way that we want to feel instead. And so when we do that, we're basically creating an exposure therapy situation where we're teaching our brain, hey, there's a different wiring that you can have around this. Instead of treating it as problem, give attention, feel anxious, we're giving ourselves the experience in the moment of having the trigger. We're talking about it, we're feeling it, but we're also giving ourselves the experience of doing that while in a relaxed state. And what I found is that it's a lot like shower thoughts. You know, when you've been thinking hard about a problem and you're grinding on it and you're really trying to problem solve. And we're smart people, right? Like we're thinking of all these solutions and they all have challenges that are associated with them. But then when you get in the shower and you stop thinking about the problem, you suddenly notice all of these solutions that you hadn't even seen before. And that's the power of creating a relaxed, creative state. And so I'm going to walk you through all of the points, and then I'm going to lead you in a demo where you'll basically repeat phrases after me so that we can just get the hang of what this looks like. So the very first point is going to be the side of your hand, this fleshy point. And you're going to tap with about the amount of pressure that you would tap someone on the shoulder with. Okay. And then we're going to stay on this point for a while at the beginning when we talk about the problem, because we really want to hone in on what's going on and everything that the problem is attached to. So we very rarely have a simple issue of like not being able to sleep. Usually we can't sleep because something has happened and we're grinding on it, and then we get nervous because if we don't sleep, then we won't be able to effectively solve the problem the next day. So we're anxious and can't sleep, and then we get anxious because we can't sleep. And then we get frustrated that we're preventing ourselves from sleeping by being upset about not sleeping. And there's all of this stuff attached to it. And so we want to figure out what that is. We also want to figure out the secondary gains, because believe it or not, one of the reasons that it's so hard to let go of our problems is that they're also doing something beneficial for us. And if we don't figure out what that is, then we're not going to be able to replace the benefit that it's creating. So we spend a lot of time on this point. And then we move on to the complete rounds of tapping. And what that looks like is starting on the top of the head. So just kind of where, the middle of your crown would be if you were wearing one. And then the start of your eyebrows here. Okay. And then the sides of your temple. Right underneath your eyes at the top of your cheekbone, where your mustache is or would be. And then your goatee point here. Then you'll do your collarbones, and don't worry too much about where here. Your vascular system is pretty broad here. And then you'll do like the side of your rib cage. Some people do like monkey style, both sides. I usually do one. And then you'll tap your wrists together. And that's one complete round, and then we'll start back on the top of the head. And again, while we're doing that, we're repeating phrases about the issue that we're having so that we can work through it. And as we're working through it, we might even find new associations with it. And so we really want to leave space for that. I very rarely create scripts when I'm tapping because a lot of the time my intuition will pick up on something that is in the space that I wouldn't have focused on if I made a script. And so it's a lot like therapy in this way, where we have techniques and we have a system, but we also leave room for the sort of nonverbal and unexplainable things that we pick up on in a session. So I'm going to bring you through a demo. And just as an example, I'm going to talk about writing case notes. And you'll start to see what I mean by having the specific problem and then realizing everything that is attached to it. So if you're ready, drink some water because we want to give our system something to move through. And then we'll get started on the side of the hand. And then you'll just repeat these phrases after me. If they don't resonate with you, that's okay. You can either just not repeat them, or if you do repeat them, it's not like I'm going to be hypnotizing you to believe something that you don't believe. Our unconscious is really smart, and it's going to pick up on the things that fit. It's going to let go of the things that don't. And so I almost imagine it like when you poke holes in a pound cake and how some of the icing sinks into it and absorbs, and some of it just kind of spills over the side. So here we go. You know, I got into this work to help people. So repeat that. Not to sit in front of my computer for hours, trying to decide how to write my case notes. I feel like it's such a weird thing. Because if all goes well, then I'm never going to need them. So it feels weird to spend so much time on them. But then again, if I ever get subpoenaed, or if anybody needs my notes, then I'm going to be really glad that I spent time on them. But in the meantime, I'm doing case notes calculus. And it really drains my energy. Because I want to be spending time in my sessions. And I want to be present in my sessions. And honestly, when I'm done with my sessions, I want to go spend time doing other things. And even though I've been tripping about my case notes, I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself. Even though this has been a really tough part of my work, I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself. Okay, so let's pause there because you have a good idea of what this setup looks like. And you may have noticed that I talked a lot about acceptance and forgiveness. And the reason that we do that is similar to why we want to create this relaxation around the trigger. The reason that we do that is because a lot of the time, what makes it so hard to move forward is that we haven't forgiven ourselves for what has gotten us here. And it's really hard to improve when you're hating yourself into improvement. The subconscious doesn't like that. The subconscious likes when we can sort of have a repair process with ourselves and say, look, I know that this has been happening. I'm taking accountability. You're still a good person. And now we're going to do something different. And so that's why we do that. I'm curious if you felt any shifts when you started using that language of accepting and forgiving yourself. So feel free to leave me a comment. And for now, we're going to try the full round of tapping. And we're really going to exaggerate the problem, okay? So it's fun. Oh my God, I hate writing case notes. It is so boring. And it doesn't even encapsulate the true magic that happens in the session. So I can have this incredible breakthrough with the client. And then just sit with these black and white words. Like client processed themes of XYZ. And let the official record show that magic occurred. It just feels like I'm living two lives. And because of my resistance to writing case notes, I may have let myself get a little bit behind. And I'm really judging myself for that. Because we all know that I'm the only person who got behind in her case notes ever. And I know that the board is going to come after me like yesterday. And they might even take my license away. And that scares me. Because I want to keep doing this work. And even though I have all this stress about it, I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself. Because I have to admit that beating myself up about this hasn't helped me write my case notes any faster. And now that I'm thinking about it, I feel so ready to do this differently. I'm a smart person. I know how to include just enough information to cover what I need to cover, but not so much information that it's going to be harmful if the records are released. I know how to do this. And I'm actually really good at it. And It's kind of funny. I almost feel excited. It almost feels like one of those board games where you have to take a combination of ridiculous things and put them all together. Because case notes are actually an art form. I am translating magic. And I'm not just doing it for the chart. I'm doing it so that I can remember what happened. I'm doing it so that I can solidify the goals that we're working through. And I'm doing it so that I can have this beautiful roadmap of our journey in therapy together. It's an affirmation. And I can reframe the way that I look at it. So, case notes, I'm ready for you. I'm going to have a system that makes this so fun and affirming. And even though it's taken me a minute to get here, I choose to love, accept, and forgive myself. And I choose to spend time whenever I want. Maybe it's at the end of my client day. Maybe it's the next morning after processing and integrating. But I'm going to have intentional admin sessions where I make it happen. And then I close my laptop and go do the fun things that I want to. Maybe I take a walk with my dog. Maybe I have breakfast for dinner. Maybe I go to karaoke. The world is my oyster, especially when I finish my case notes. And I'm so excited to do that. All right, so that was tapping, and you may have noticed that we sort of got into a zone, and the words were helpful and important, and they might have even resonated with you, but the words themselves aren't even completely the point. If you felt any sense of relaxation, if you felt any sense of creativity, if you yawned or burped, or if your eyes kind of teared up a little bit, those are all signs that the energy is kind of moving. Those are all signs that whatever may have been kind of stuck in the network that is keeping you blocked, especially in the context of case notes, that we may have loosened that up and you might have a different approach to it. So the other thing that happens sometimes when people tap, they literally forget about the thing that they tapped on, because it's almost like our brain can say like, okay, I'm done with that. I don't need to worry about it anymore. And it just kind of releases the issue. So anyway, that was our intro to tapping. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm so excited to work with you, whether it's in future videos or whether we're doing a training together. I can't wait to see you. Thank you so much for trying this out today. It's a kind of weird technique, but it's been really amazing and really helpful for me and for a lot of others. So I hope you enjoy it too. Have a good one and see you soon. Bye.